Have you ever spent 5 minutes talking to someone and thought, wow, I want this person's brain? They aren't necessarily louder than everyone else, and they aren't using big, scary words to sound smart. In fact, they usually speak quite simply. But there's a weight to their words. When they speak, people stop scrolling on their phones and actually listen. They have this weird, magnetic calm. They don't panic when they don't have an answer, and they don't babble just to fill the silence. What's their cheat code? Is it an expensive degree? A secret morning routine involving ice baths and kale? Probably not. Usually they just have a very old-fashioned habit. They actually read books. We live in a world that is obsessed with fast. We want fast food, fast internet, and fast hacks for our lives. We spend hours scrolling through 15-second videos that disappear from our memories the moment we swipe up. It's like feeding your brain nothing but cotton candy. It tastes good for a second, but it leaves you feeling empty and hyperactive. Reading is the opposite. It's a slow-cooked meal for your mind. When you sit down with a book, you aren't just looking at ink on paper. You are literally plugging your brain into someone else's thoughts. Think about it this way. If a genius spends 40 years learning a hard lesson and writes it down in a book, and you read that book in 4 hours, you just stole 40 years of wisdom. That is the ultimate life hack. Reading is essentially brain snatching. You get to borrow the courage of explorers, the logic of scientists, and the wit of poets. If you're trying to master English, reading is your best friend, and it's much more fun than a dusty grammar book. When you study rules, you're looking at the skeleton of a language. When you read, you're seeing the language breathe, dance, and tell jokes. You start to notice how words hang out together. You don't learn that a certain phrase sounds right. You start to feel that it sounds right. It's like listening to a song until you know the lyrics by heart, without ever trying to memorize them. Suddenly, when you speak, the right words just show up at the door, ready to work. You stop sounding like a translation app and start sounding like a human being. But beyond the skills, reading does something even better. It gives you a vacation from the noise. Our phones are constantly screaming at us to be worried, angry, or busy. A book doesn't scream. It waits for you. It invites you to a quiet room where you can actually hear yourself think. It stretches your attention span back out after the internet has shrunk it to the size of a raisin. You don't have to be a scholar to do this. You don't need to read 100 books a year or tackle a 1,000-page classic that makes your head hurt. You just need to be curious. Start by reading something that makes you forget you're reading. Read about space, read about how to bake bread, or read a trashy detective novel. Just keep the fire burning. 1 page tonight, maybe 2 tomorrow. Every time you finish a chapter, your world gets a little bit bigger. You become the person people want to listen to, not because you're trying to be impressive, but because you actually have something inside your head worth sharing. You'll find that you're calmer, sharper, and a lot harder to fool. So put the phone in the other room, grab something with a cover, and start stealing some brains. Your future self will thank you for it.
Great job today. Keep up the good work and help you and your family learn English better in every lesson. If you'd like to relax or take a nap tonight, listen to our 365 Cozy Sleep stories and follow our 365 Life channel. Learn English while relaxing. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more lessons. See you next time.